In many spots, just topping out in the lower 70s on the San Diego County coast. Air temperatures will be in the lower 70s throughout most of the LA County coast. Also further south, temperatures in Ventura County would be in the upper 60s. And back in August, hundreds of sick sea lions were discovered in Santa Barbara and Ventura counties because they were exposed to domoic acid. And some sea lions were even found in LA County, where they are being treated by the Marine Mammal Care Center in San Pedro. Sarah Pila is live with an update on these animals. Hey, Sarah, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Autumn. So down here at Cabrillo Beach and behind me, you'll notice the Marine Mammal Care Center doctor who will be releasing some sea lions back out into the wild today. This is where they do it when the sea lions have recovered from injury or illness. Now, the sea lions that will be released momentarily are not the ones that were poisoned by domoic acid. As you mentioned, hundreds were found poisoned with domoic acid, and a few were even found down here. Domoic acid comes from harmful algal blooms. It's a neurotoxin and is naturally produced by the algae. But when California sea lions particularly ingest fish or shellfish that has been tainted by that algae, they can have detrimental impacts on their health, particularly to their brain and to their heart. Take a look at this video. This is from the Channel Islands Marine and Wildlife Institute that responded to hundreds of animals suffering from domoic acid poisoning in August and September. Common visual signs of sea lions suffering from domoic acid includes foaming at the mouth, disorientation, head swaying back and forth, inability to move out of the ocean, seizures, and even death. And some sea lions that were poisoned became stranded on LA County beaches and were brought to the Marine Mammal Care Center in San Pedro. They took in about 20 sea lions. Now, some didn't make it, but out of those who did, most have been released. The remainder that are here are not ready to go back into the wild. Veterinarian Lauren Palmer says the animals are extremely lethargic and are suffering from seizures.
So when these animals came in, I've just actually been looking back at the record, the average length of time that they sustained some seizure activity was 8 to 10 days after they were admitted. So we're trying to prevent seizures. We're trying to give them anticonvulsive medication. Now you can see that this is not an animal that I could release at this point. She's still too focused on people. She's mostly focused on food. And so until her behavior changes, I would not release her back.
Dr. Palmer expects that eventually their behavior will change, but this flapping is another sign of abnormality. Also uncommon is how late in the year that this toxic bloom took place. Researchers are still trying to figure out what the cause was, which is why Dr. Palmer says we need to pay attention to these events because we all depend on the same ecosystem.
Whenever we have wildlife, whether it's birds, whatever it is, and if they can't survive in their environment, I think we need to pay attention to that because sooner or later, some of those events are going to start impacting us. And we need to be as proactive as we can to address those and to understand them, to conduct the science and the experiments and the monitoring to figure out what's going on.
So while those animals are still needing to recover at the Marine Mammal Care Center, we have other California sea lions who have recovered from separate injuries ready to be released. So release the sea lions and hopefully, you know, they will come out and go straight back into the ocean. But this is a stressful moment for them. And there they go. One of them is actually blind in one of the eyes, but they go together so they can get out into the wild. Isn't that the sweetest thing?
Little babies, swim free, swim free. Oh, they're so sweet.
Oh, yay! Yes.
That's the greatest. Oh, man, our hearts in the news room this morning are just so full.
We all want to be free, Autumn.
Yes. Oh, so beautiful. I can watch this all day.
That was so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. That was amazing. Oh, I'm so glad we got to witness that.
Oh, you're welcome. I know, me too. My heart is still like bursting over here.
So is there still a public health risk?
So as of right now, researchers, they're trying to determine exactly why this domoic acid or why this harmful algal bloom event occurred. So the good thing is that we have a lot of public agencies that monitor our food to make sure that it is safe to eat. But I do want to mention that if there were to be any impact to our food, of course, things would be shut down. And in 2015, we had the largest harmful algal bloom ever recorded. Fisheries were closed, crabbing seasons were closed because it was a threat to public health.
And do researchers know what triggers these algae blooms, and are we seeing an uptick due to warmer ocean waters?
So it's such a tricky question, Autumn, because it's really hard for researchers to actually pinpoint why we're seeing, more of these harmful algal blooms. Speaking with the Channel Islands Marine and Wildlife Institute, they do mention that climate change is a factor. But of course, there are other factors like warming ocean temperatures. Coastal development might also be a contributing factor, as well as just, runoff from agriculture as well as urban development. So really hard to pinpoint. It's something that researchers are actively working on, but we are seeing more of these.
Very informative and very sweet. Thank you so much, Sarah. We'll be back.